Hello friends, I'm sure most of you know me, but for those who don't, my name is Daniel Lemberger. I'm the managing partner of Dror Center in Israel. My wife Tammy and I, we founded a Dror Center in 1992 to deliver the bridge developed by Ron Hubbard. So we're totally dedicated, loyal to LRH, and we deliver his bridge. We call it the route to spiritual freedom. We founded Dror Center in 1992, 32 years ago, as a mission under the Church of Scientology. 20 years later, which is 2012, 12 years ago, we witnessed the perversions, the gross out tech, the criminality of David Miscavige. I realized the guy is a lunatic, destroying LRH's legacy. And we left the church in 2012. Immediately, we learned how to deliver the entire bridge so that we can make it available to all of our public, all the people, including the OT levels, the L rundowns, and we emphasize then and now the training of auditors. In 2015, we were first introduced to the OT levels compiled by Captain Bill Robertson. We were contacted by friends of ours in South Africa, Gay and Ernst Corbett. We went to visit them in February 2015. Again, in May 2015, we went on to Excalibur. We had huge wins on it. Tammy and I, we loved it. And soon afterwards, we were approached by Max and Erica Howry of Ron Zolgrenchen, and they proposed that rather than do the long trip from Israel to Johannesburg, we come to Switzerland and we continue with them. This was coordinated with our auditor at the Ron Zog Joburg, Shirley Wartsky, and her partner, Tracy Henley. And everybody said, yeah, much better idea. So Tammy and I switched, and from July 2015, we were on lines at the Ron Zolgrenchen with Max and Erica Howry. We became very good, very close friends with them. And we continued there. We made very good progress on the bridge there, on the OT levels there, until about a year ago, in June 2023, we lost favor in their eyes. They decided they've had enough of me or us. They couldn't stand us anymore. And they told us, they kicked us out. They told us, don't come back. And we continued then at the Ron Zorg in Joburg with Shirley Wartsky. What did happen shortly afterwards is I started hearing from people that Erica Howry began spreading awful lies about us, claiming that we had broken a promise, a commitment that we made to her concerning some area of tech, and that because of that, they expelled us. I state very clearly, this is a terrible lie. This thing never happened. But that is not the reason for the talk I'm giving you now, because I would never ask you to give me your time to listen to me talking about some personal problem I have. Okay, so what is this about? Yesterday, 24 August 2024, Max Howry sent an email. He writes, the title of the email is Grades to Golden Age, and most of the email he talks about auditing, the importance of auditing, the value of auditing, and that you should get a lot of auditing. I totally agree with Max Howry. He and I are in the same business. We sell auditing, and we believe that every person should avail himself to auditing. That auditing, and lots of it, is the way out, is the only way to improve personal abilities and handle life, improve your life, raise your awareness. So we agree a lot of auditing is good. But Max writes here, one of my reliable data points is that Ron disappeared at the end of 1972. And the last lecture I have from him is dated August 6, 1972. I'm certain it's his voice on the tape. Therefore, it's clear that anything from around early 1973 onward is not from Ron. So when I read this, I was shocked. I became very upset, very turbulated, and this is why now I am talking to you. This is not the first time I hear this theory. I heard it from Max vaguely a few times, but he wouldn't show anything about it. This is the first time I see it from Max in writing. I did meet another guy, Michel Snurk, in Gothenburg, Sweden, way back in 2014, and he espouses a similar idea that Ron was kidnapped, vanished, hypnotized. Something happened to Ron around 1972 in the Sahara Desert. I find that this statement by Max and Erica about Ron is a humiliation of Ron Hubbard, is mockery of him, is ridiculing him, and is a degradation of Ron and the tech. It's an act of treason to Ron. Max and Erica making up a conspiracy theory that has no basis to explain away some weakness or difficulty that they have. To claim that Ron Hubbard was kidnapped or assassinated or hypnotized in 1972, and then another person, some clone, was installed in his place by the CIA or the Martians or the Mercabians or by some implanters. Or maybe it's Ron himself becoming a puppet, manipulated by strings, by some people, controlled by some evil psychs or whoever. What Max and Erica are saying, that the tech after beginning 1973 is all falsified. That means that all the tech that we have from Ron or the clone from 1973 onwards is not on source, is out tech, off source, not really from LRH. Now, this would include very, very vital technology. Let me just show you a few pieces. This is Tech Volume 11. We have Tech Volume 11, 12, 13. But all of the Tech volumes after 1973 are all canceled, are all made up by somebody else. And this one, 11, encompasses 1977 to 1979. All right, so here is page 380, Executive Directive 301, Ron's Journal 30, 1978, the year of lightning fast new tech. Okay, it's a long issue, and Ron here covers everything that he or the clone discovered, released in the year 1978. Now, there's vital technology here. This includes, I'm skipping the pages, okay? First thing is new era Dianetics, a refinement of all previous Dianetic techniques from 1950 up to the present time. So Ron Hubbard continued to develop and improve Dianetics, and then came standard Dianetics, and he developed R3R, engram running by chain, which is using the E-meter to locate engrams and chains and run them more effectively. And in 1978, he re-released it. He called it R3RA, and this is a major breakthrough. And we have postulate off as the EP of a Dianetic chain. Okay, so all this, of course, is not valid because it's after 1973. We have superpower here. We have many, many, many rundowns and a lot of technology here. We have here The Sweat program, which he released in '78 to handle drugs, drug residues, this was replaced a year later or 2 years later by the Purification Rundown. Don't do the Purification Rundown, it's not by LRH. And then we have here another major breakthrough, which is for the AOs. NED for OTs or NOTs, New Era Dynamics for OTs, was released in 1978. I did it. It's a fabulous, fantastic rundown. I've read it. The NOTs series encompasses about 50 bulletins. If you've read them thoroughly like I did, you know for sure it's from the one and only Ron Hubbard. To think that all this is useless, is trash, to dump it, to not apply it, is a gross violation of tech, is a gross overt on the tech. So all this, according to Max and Erica, is not valid. Okay, this is from 1978. Then we have further developments in 1984. The Force Purpose Rundown, okay? And the Force Purpose Rundown series also includes many bulletins, and this is dated June 1984. So FPRD also not valid, not LRH, not to be used. I can tell you personally, I've had hundreds of hours of FPRD. It's the most powerful, the most splendid action I ever did. I've had hundreds of hours of it at Flag. And funny enough, FPRD gave me the certainty about my purposes. It gave me the power as a being to stick to my purposes, to see what is true and what is wrong, and raised my loyalty and dedication to Ron Hubbard to such degree that I had no doubt, full certainty about leaving the church in 2012 and making our group flourish and prosper ever since. We deliver FPRD here at Dror Center to all our public, to all the people going up the bridge, with fantastic results. So to say that this is not from LRH is unbelievable, is ridiculous, totally senseless. In the same email that Max released yesterday, 24 August 2024, he further writes, instead of creating new rules or policies, let's go back to basics. Do what Ron says. Follow the unaltered and unrevised HCOPLs and HCOBs. Great. So Max makes his life easy, and instead of following unaltered and unrevised HCOBs, HCOPLs, he just dumps them. He throws away 12 years of research and major releases by Ron Hubbard. They tell us, do what Ron says, and then they assassinate him 13 or 14 years before Ron actually departed his body in 1986. Now, my view is that a person invents a conspiracy theory to solve a problem that they have, a situation that they encounter, they don't know what to do with it. So I don't know what it is that the Howries cannot handle with the tech. I don't know what is their problem, but it could be something they don't understand or cannot apply, and therefore they have to dump 12 years of major releases and developments that come from Ron Hubbard. Do I know that Ron Hubbard was alive and well until 1986? Well, honestly, I've never met Ron Hubbard. I've never spoken to him. But I have spoken, and I've had lengthy conversations with quite a few people who knew Ron personally, who were with him. The first one Janice Gilham Grady. You may know Janice Gilham. She wrote 2 books. Book number 1, book number 2. On the cover you see photos of Janice with LRH here and here. Here she's a teenager. I don't know what age it is exactly, but she wrote 2 books already. She served very closely with Ron Hubbard, and so she tells all about her story, her years with Ron Hubbard. And Janice, you promised me book number 3, so we're still waiting for your book number 3. Now, Janice, she grew up with Scientology parents in Australia. They moved to St. Hill in the early 1960s. She started working with Ron as a kid, at the age of 10 maybe. And then when he moved to the Apollo ship, she soon joined at the age of 12, I think. And she was with Ron Hubbard from the early 60s until he left the INT base in California in 1979. Janice and I have not met, didn't work out, but we have spoken on the phone many times. And I asked her specifically about this idea, this theory that I heard about Ron's disappearance in 1972. And she told me very clearly, she told me a whole story about this, but she said very clearly, I was with Ron very close. I saw him daily. This thing never happened. Now, just as an anecdote, I think it was about 5 years ago that Janice gave a seminar in Moscow to the group there of independent Scientologists, hosted by my friend Mikhail Fedorov, and my friend Vicky Severin was translating from English to Russian. From Moscow, Janice flew to Switzerland, and she spent a couple of days with Max and Erica Howry and their group at the Ron Zorg in Grenchen. They had a staff meeting with her. They spoke. And then I asked Janice, did Max and Erica ever ask you about Ron's disappearance? Well, of course not. Of course, they never asked her about it. We have close friends, Tammy and I, we have close friends in Joburg, Gay and Ernst Corbett. And when we are at the Ron Zorg in Joburg, we spend a lot of time with Gay and Ernst. Gay and Ernst have been in Scientology since the early 1970s. Gay was on the Apollo, the ship, as a PC. I think around 1974, she spent a few weeks there getting auditing. Ron was her personal case supervisor, and the ship was sailing then around the Caribbean Sea. And one day, Ron invited her for a day of shooting pictures. He was a photographer too, and he wanted some pictures of an elegant, beautiful, gracious lady for some promo they were preparing. And Gay spent the whole day with Ron, chit-chatting, taking pictures. She said, Gay, for sure it was Ron Hubbard. Now, 2 years later, Gay and Ernst together with their 2 small kids, Mark and Tracy, went again to the flag service org. This time, it was already at Daytona Beach. Ron removed the org from the ship. It was getting too small. He realized he had to go to land, and the first step was Daytona Beach, Florida. This is now, I think, 1975. They spent a few weeks there. And again, Ernst tell us that Ernst was doing his L rundowns. Ron was the CS. But during break time, Ron would spend time around the swimming pool playing with the kids, Mark and Tracy. And I'm pretty sure that Mark and Tracy would recognize a phony, and they would say to Ron, get out of here, you're a phony. We're not playing with a clone. Max and Erica are also good friends with Gay and Ernst. They've met her many times, and they've had many opportunities to ask Gay and Ernst, did you meet Ron Hubbard? Did you spend time with Ron Hubbard? Are you sure this is the real Ron Hubbard? Well, of course, they never did it. Now, one never wants to have data or facts that would spoil one's theory. Like they say, don't bother me with the facts, I've made up my mind. Last bit of evidence concerns Captain Bill Robertson. Max and Erica deliver the OT levels compiled by Bill Robertson. We do too. And if you look at the bridge that we published, you will see here on the bridge the OT levels that we delivered compiled by CBR. Tammy and I, we started doing what we call the CBR bridge or OT levels put together by CBR in 2015 at the Ron Zorg. In Joburg, we've continued. At Grenchen, it went great until 2023. Last year, like I said before, we switched back to Joburg with Shirley Wartsky, our good friend, and we're doing a great job there. Needless to say, I've never met Bill Robertson. I think he dropped his body around 1991. Bill Robertson was one of the closest people to Ron Hubbard, and he did a great job continuing and putting together, assembling the bridge, things that Ron maybe did not complete in his lifetime, or CBR understood things and continued this, and that's why we apply it, we use it, we teach it. This is great. Now, CBR says very clearly in one of his tech briefings, I don't have it here, but if you're interested, we can find it, that he had a good comm line with LRH until around 1981. In 1979, Ron gave him a project to research an area on the planet, and Bill did this project. When he wanted to report back to LRH around 1981, he discovered that the line was cut. We know what happened. David Miscavige usurped powers. He took over the church. He destroyed the church. He declared suppressive everyone, anyone who was close to LRH, like David Mayo, like Bill Robertson. He cut their lines. This is what happened. It's a tragedy. But CBR never says that Ron Hubbard was taken out in 1972. He met Ron Hubbard many times. He would have seen it. He would have known. To think that LRH is taken out in 72 and CBR doesn't notice it, this is ridiculous. How can you even think like that? So, according to Max and Erica, even CBR didn't notice, didn't see. Even he was tricked or fooled by the implanters who planted an imposter instead of LRH. I don't know why the Howers need to eliminate the tech that was discovered and released by Ron after 1973. I don't know what need they have to do this, but this is an act of treachery. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions about this or anything, please write to me. Thank you.